All right. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Great O'Clock. This is Monday, January the 18th, and we are here with a very special guest on a very special day. Mr. Ted Rubin has joined us for this evening, and we're going to be talking about the power of relationship. And I think it's at work right now. So, just for all of you all that do not know who I am, I will introduce myself. My name is Gerald DuBose. My company is called The New Wealth Order. We help entrepreneurs elevate their business by developing a winning culture and implementing value-driven sales and marketing strategies. That's who I am. That's what I do. If you want to find me in a space you call cyber, you can look me up by that name. Look up The New Wealth Order. You'll find me there. But my very special guest, my good friend, Mr. Ted Rubin. Just a little bit about this gentleman for all of you all that don't know him. And if you don't know him and you're on social media, you've been sleeping under a rock. But Ted Rubin is a leading social media marketing strategist, keynote speaker, brand evangelist, and acting CMO of Brand Innovators. In March 2009, he started using and evangelizing the term ROR, which is return on relationship, and the hashtag RONR, which I had to correct because I knew the term, but at first I had ROR. So I apologize for that, Ted. Ted is the most followed CMO on Twitter, according to Social Media Marketing Magazine. He was number 13 on Forbes' top 50 social media power influencers list and number 2 on the lead tail list of top 25 people most mentioned by digital marketers. He is the author of 2 books, Return on Relationship, and his most recent work, How to Digitally Look People in the Eye, was released in January of 2015. So if y'all could, please give a warm welcome to my good friend, Mr. Ted Rubin.
Well, thank you very much. At least you kept that somewhat short. I was at an event recently where they didn't ask me for a bio, and I guess they decided to pull it down from my blog. On the blog, you got everything. I finally had to go up and cut this guy off because it was really getting silly. I kept getting ready to go up. And he just kept going on and on. So thank you for that very nice introduction. Happy to be here. Just so everybody understands, if you see me drinking a lot of water or popping some pills, I got a bad cold and cough. It hit me up a couple of days ago, but didn't want to let Gerald down. I am in my bed, ready to call it a night after this. And if you know me, you know that's a big deal because I don't ever call it a night that early.
Not that early.
Never. But happy to be here, Gerald. Love to chat with you. I'm really excited. I love the way you and I met. Because, it's really just a classic example of the serendipitous nature of social media and how relationships can be built all the time. And one of the reasons why when I say if you knew me, you know that I don't go to bed early, I don't mean that I'm a late night partier or that I'm out. I mean, I do happen to be at a lot of events, but I tend not to stay out late drinking or partying. It's that I'm up online all the time. And the reason for that is, for me, it's a 24/7 thing. And, you no longer have to go to networking events, travel into the city, go different places to meet people. I mean, I'm online 24/7 basically. And I meet people all the time. And the reason I have trouble going to bed is, to me, I could be accomplishing more and more. I could be meeting more people. I could be making more engagements. And Gerald and I kind of met that way. I mean, Gerald, I don't remember, you reached out to me at some point over something.
Yeah. It was through actually seeing you on this platform, and you and Brian Fanzo do your weekly show,
right?
And we kind of connected a little bit there, and then I reached out to you on Twitter, and you responded, and then we just kind of built a relationship from there. I mean, it's like,
and you asked me to do an interview or something, and then you were like, I mean, you were really, really nice. You were like, listen, I know you're busy, and I'm like, let's do it. And you almost kept selling me after I said okay, because you thought I was gonna tell you how busy I was or I didn't have time. So, I love the way our relationship has grown, how we've figured out how many people we have in common. And that's another beautiful thing about all these platforms, is you just realize the nature of connection. And
absolutely.
I like to say that a network gives you reach, but a community gives you power. And what I love most about these platforms, and Blab specifically is like that, is its ability to build communities and the ability for people to really get to know each other. And, I hear people a lot of times, the naysayers, who say things like, social, because of those platforms, people don't see each other as much. They don't do as much. But that's the people that aren't using it the right way. I mean, for me, I get to know all these people so much better. I mean, how many people could you really keep track of back before these times. Now I know my friends that are having babies, who are having families, who are getting new jobs, things they're doing. I'm getting connection points. There's so much I can know about them. And now you can pop onto any of these platforms. You know, I mean, I love Snapchat because people reach out to me real quick, send me a quick video. I get to see their face, see something in a very quick momentary thing where I don't have to have a time set for it. And it just allows us to really grow these relationships and get to know people. And, you know, I love it. By the way, SD3 Design Chicken Soup, baby. I know it. I've been pounding it every day. Matter of fact, I had a flight today, which I was not happy about. And when I got home, the first thing I did, and it's the only place I would have gone, was I got in my car and I drove to Ben's Kosher Deli to get some chicken soup for tonight. So had a bowl before the show. I'm going to have a bowl after the show. And thank you. Good tip.
Yeah, that's JP. That's my buddy JP.
Hey, JP, how are you, man?
Yeah, JP's a really good guy too. He said the magic is in the marrow. I've never done it with the marrow. I had bone marrow, but I've never done the soup with the marrow. So that's interesting. A
buddy of mine named Mitch Chaitlin, who's a great guy, put a photo on Facebook a few minutes ago of the chicken soup that he's making right now. Look, I'm a god. It looked awesome. And one of the comments I made was not only did it look awesome and about the fact that I just went to Ben's to get chicken soup and that his looked even better, was that I think the only thing I truly miss from being in a relationship is having someone to make chicken soup for me. Sorry, ladies, but.
So, ladies, if any of you all are good with the chicken soup, you can woo Mr. Ted Rubin. But getting to the power relationship, you brought up a very interesting point, something that I talk about a lot. And I have my own little term for it, and I wanted to talk to you about that. You know, I said that what Blab has done, because before Blab, I had left social media. I just went back to my regular marketing world. I was used to doing what I do. I've been pretty successful at that. And then I went to Periscope because everybody was like, try Periscope. I'm like, what is Periscope? And then I found myself looking at myself, talking for minutes, and I said, you know what? I love me, but I don't want to look at me for that long. And then somebody said, have you tried this thing called Blab? And I was like, what is Blab? And I came here, and I'm so used to workshops and trainings where I'm speaking to groups of people. I said, this is home, this interactivity. And that term I came up with was this. I said that we're moving from the age of, I think, static social media to what I call social relationship. Because this is relationship and networking on speed. Like the relationships you're making now through these video and live streaming platforms are relationships that would have took you 6 months, 1 year, a year and a half to cultivate, but now you're doing them in a matter of 2 or 3 conversations. So just my question to you is, how do you feel that live streaming, one, has changed the way people network and connect?
Well, I'm going to answer that, but first I want to make a point that I think is really important. When you started talking about this topic, what you said was, I found a home. And to me that, you know, so many people are worried about what platforms they're on. Do I have to be here? Do I have to be there? You know, if you're a business, it's a little bit of a different question. But if you're building your personal brand, what you need to do is do what Gerald did, is find your home. I can give you a million reasons why you should be in other places, and Instagram is great, and why Periscope has its, you know, its pluses and minuses and what's good. But what's most important is where you feel most comfortable, because that's where you're going to go regularly. Look, it's like working out. You know, people tell people you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to run. But if you don't like running, then you're not going to run. If you prefer to walk, if you prefer to ride a bike, if you prefer to row, if you prefer a class versus doing it by yourself, find what works for you. So I love, Gerald, that you found what works for you. And back to your question, you know, I love live streaming. I love Blab for certain reasons. I love Periscope for certain reasons. I love the fact on Periscope that I can just talk by myself, that I can do it while I'm walking or while I'm going around or while I'm doing something. I can talk about a topic that's top of mind for me, and I just want to get out and share with people. And then I also love that you can download all the videos you make in these platforms and share them in other places, because I'm very big on syndication. So I love the live streaming because what it's done for me is I think it's made video finally social. Okay, yes. I believe every other platform is social. There's back and forth on Twitter. There's back and forth on Facebook. Instagram a little bit less so, but it has its own means to do it. You know, Pinterest has added a lot of ability to do that. But up until now, up until when Meerkat and Periscope launched before Blab, there was nothing social about video. I mean, and if there were comments, usually nobody ever replied to them. But now what we've done is we've made video social. and we made it interactive. We made it engaging. And what I love about this is, another buddy of mine said something to me the other day. He said, I see this Blab thing. It's kind of cool, but isn't it just all the same people talking to each other? And he's right to a certain degree, because there's only so many users of Blab right now. And therefore, as a social network platform to reach the masses, Blab is not where you necessarily want to be. But as a social platform to engage directly, to build one-on-one relationships, to get to know people, and be able to invite people into a place where we can have these types of conversations, it's remarkable. And as soon as I explained that to him, he said, I get it. Let's do a Blab, dude. Like, when are you and I doing a Blab? Now, maybe when I was in Vegas, you saw the videos I was making with my buddy John, my ex-business partner. We kind of have a chemistry together. What do you think? Were we good?
Yeah. Oh man, y'all are great, man. Right? You guys are great together.
So we definitely want to do something together. I just don't know for him and me if Blab is that place, because I think we have that engagement that we do is it's nice for video clips. Although John's a brilliant guy, so of course any conversation with him would be great. But that's what I love most about these live streaming platforms: the ability to be involved when it's happening, the ability to engage with people and make it social. And then, of course, that they've all made these things that we can share them other places, so the people that aren't there can share them later.
Yeah. I agree with that. And one thing I've said is that I noticed that with Blab, okay, and this is something that is going to shock some people. Before Blab, I said I left social media. I had like almost 3,000 followers on Facebook, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Yeah, that's when I was building the fragrance company. That was the means to an end. So I left it alone because I just didn't like all the craziness. And I never liked Twitter at all. Blab and Periscope forced me to open a Twitter account. And in 4 months' time, I went from 0 followers to like 1,000 followers because of this platform.
Right.
And what happens is that it transcends platform when you do give, as people like to say, value, or you add something to people every time you come up there. So people will begin to follow you everywhere else. So I went from 0 to 1,000. I've had followers on Periscope, and I don't even hardly Periscope. And then, they follow you to other platforms when you really give them something that enriches their life. And that is the power of what I see with live streaming. And that is the power of relationships. That's building a true relationship. That's why people want to follow you. I find that on platforms like this, on a Periscope, on a Blab, on Meevee now, and on a Snapchat, if people like you, they want to be where you are. They want to continue the conversation and get to know you personally.
There's no reason to be here if you don't want to listen. There's no reason. If you're not looking to hear what's being said, then there's no reason to be here. If you're not looking to engage, what I love most about Snapchat, and why I think every person that's involved in social media for a company, even for themselves, I'm not saying they need to be there. They need to just get it and understand it. Is because to me, Snapchat is probably the only pure social media platform out there. If you're not engaging, interacting, creating content, there's no reason to be there.
Right. That's true.
Okay? There really is not. And what I love about it is just how interactive it's become, everything they've added to it. Too many people still think of Snapchat for what it was when it first launched. Like you'd send a quick snap, picture, things would disappear. There was a lot of things going on that were just kind of funky and funny and stupid. But the way they've evolved the platform into storytelling, into communication, into engagement and interaction has made it incredibly valuable. And it really is geared to what we have to realize is that not being millennials, or even younger than millennials, Generation Z, people that have grown up with these tools, they engage differently than we do.
Absolutely.
We're not used to having so many things going at once. I'm not saying a lot of us can't be good at it, but I can tell you right now that I can't even come close to keeping up with the Brian Fanzo when it comes to operating 5 different platforms at once. I'm just not built that way. Right. And I don't have the experience. I wasn't born with it naturally. What's happening now is I love hearing when people say, oh, our kids, they're not social at all. What are you talking about? They're way more social than we ever were. They're communicating with 20, 30, 40 people at once. And they're doing it through these lists. When they have kids on their text list, they're all jumping in and reaching out to each other. They're all getting together. They all know where each other's going to be. We have to worry about, remember, hey, is Gerald home? No? Okay. When he gets home, can you ask him to call Ted? 766 remember R06? Remember the phone numbers with the letters?
Yes, Lord, yes.
7343. Or better yet, nobody answered. I mean, I got my first answering machine in let me think. Probably 1986. I mean, there weren't any before that. So these kids now, they're like what I tell people who complain about, especially when marketers complain about their kids using social tools. I say, stop complaining and watch. See how they use them. Learn from them. You have a petri dish sitting right at your fucking kitchen table.
That's true.
Observe them, and you will start understanding the way the consumers of the future are going to communicate what's important to them, what they're doing. Instead of complaining about something you're probably never going to stop. And that doesn't mean that I'm against telling kids to put their phones away when they're at dinner. That don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is take that time to learn and watch. I love being in the car. I used to love being in the car with my kids and watching them on their tools and seeing what they're doing. I mean, I remember watching my daughter with Snapchat in the early days, before you could video and all this stuff. And all I would see her doing is things like this. Making faces. She was communicating without words. She was having conversations without writing anything. It was remarkable. And to know the ability, which means that our kids are getting more apt at reading facial expressions and understanding intonation. I mean, those are things that are very important.
They are. They are key, actually, in communication. When you get into the whole sales aspect and body language and all that, that's the majority of the communication. It's not what you say, it's how you're saying it. It's the expressions, the small nuances that really convey the message of what's being said. And these kids really get it. They truly, truly get it. Like you said, they are relating on a level that we could only have imagined when we were children. Like you said, we had to, if our friends lived long distance, we weren't making long distance phone calls. You maybe send them a letter.
And I think part of our job is to teach them how to use those tools that they're developing, to use them, to utilize them in face-to-face situations. Because imagine, this ability to read people and then to be in a boardroom or in a meeting. I go to a lot of meetings. I don't go to as many as I used to, but when I was with Collective Bias, when I was partners with John Andrews, I went to meetings every single week. And a lot of times people would say, hey, Ted, how come you're not participating? Because I was the guy watching. I was the guy listening to what other people were saying. I was the guy that was watching and finding the guy in the room who was our supporter and finding the guy in our room who was the naysayer, who was the one that would be against us when we left, and trying to figure all that out. And you can get so much of that just by watching the way people are they on their devices? Are they paying attention? Are they looking you in the eye when you talk to them? Are they nodding their heads and smiling, or are they nodding their heads with, there's so much you can learn from that. And again, we're getting so much more of that now digitally because a lot of these tools are becoming so much more visual that, for me, it's very exciting.
Absolutely. So, it's commonly said that the power of your net worth is determined by your network. What are your feelings on something like that? I truly believe that to be a true statement. The people around you and the people that trust and believe in you, the whole know, like, and trust thing. I'm not a big advocate of know, like, and trust, but they have to know you and they have to believe you if anything's going to happen as far as business wise. So what are your feelings on the network, making your network work essentially? Well,
like I said, for me, I like too many people take networking to mean just connecting with as many people as possible. So I posted on my Facebook page today, there was a post on Media Post by Eric Sass. And I can't tell you I'm a big fan. Especially because most of those guys never respond to comments. You can write something all day long. They never, ever answer comments. So it's incredible. But he wrote a post about how popularity on social doesn't really mean anything. Because the way he was writing about how all these world leaders, some of them that are absolutely despicable, hated by their populace, have the most Facebook fans or the most Twitter followers. And the total post was written about how many followers you have. And there was no mention of engagement, advocacy, share of voice, any of the things that are so important to companies really measuring what they're doing with their engagement. And it was just such old school. The most people, the most popular. What it was saying was popularity means nothing, but it actually does if it's measured properly. If it's not measured strictly by the amount of likes you have, and so as far as your network is your net worth, I think that your relationships are your net worth. I think that when you use the word network, you simplify it too much.
Right.
Because a network means anybody you're connected to. So on LinkedIn, my network is stupidly enormous because I accept a lot of people. And whatever I have, whatever number it is, let's say it's 10,000, you multiply that by the people they're connected to, and they consider that your network. But that's not really what has value to me. What has value to me are the people I've engaged with, I built relationships with, that I can reach out to, that I can actually get something from, or they can get something from me if and when one of us needs the other. So I agree with the term holistically, but I think when you dig down, you have to realize it's not just who you're connected to as far as your network, but who you've taken the time to connect with. Like I tell people all the time, if you want to almost guarantee me connecting with you on LinkedIn, write me a personal note. Who are you? Why do you want to connect with me? What's your purpose? There's almost none of those I'm not going to accept. But I got to tell you, at this point, I'm probably not accepting 80% of the requests that come through when they don't have a personal note, and then they don't write, and then there's I don't even see any connection. I mean, nothing at all that's similar about what I'm doing. I mean, I had a guy the other day connect with me on LinkedIn or reach out, and he said that he's taking my course at some university in another country. And I said, I think you have me mixed up with somebody else. And his reply was, oh, I apologize, I did, but I'd like to connect with you anyway. No reason, no nothing, no description. And to me, that's a goodbye, I'm out. And I'm doing that a lot more than I used to lately. Whereas if you write me a personal note, and I'll tell you another tip. When someone connects with you, even if they don't write you a personal note, but you want to connect with them for whatever reason, they're valuable, they're someone you just met. I mean, all different kinds of reasons. Even if they didn't write you a personal note, every time you should be writing them a personal note back. Thanks so much for reaching out. Really interested in what you're doing. Feel free to be in touch anytime. Something personal, not just one of these LinkedIn automatic replies or connections. And, the excuse used to be from people, well, I'm connecting to you on the app, and the app doesn't give you the ability to write a personal note. Well, first of all, that was true. It's not anymore. But even if it didn't, you can still write a note to me after you sent the connection and said, just sent you a connection request. This is why. I mean, but most people, what they're doing is they're just clicking on buttons. And that's not a relationship. Clicking on a button doesn't mean making a friend. Gerald, if I reach out and meet you at an event and we just shake hands, are we friends? No.
Absolutely not.
That's an invitation to begin a friendship. And that's what people need. That's when you get real value. And I don't mean that you have to get to know them the way you get to know your best friends. But, read their profile. If I get one more LinkedIn request that after I accept, they say, so what do you do? Seriously? What do I do? Did you bother reading my LinkedIn profile? It's all there.
See, now isn't
at least come up with a more original question. What did you have for breakfast, maybe?
But isn't that part of the issue, though, that some people are so bad at writing their profiles, especially on things like LinkedIn? People will put generic things, CEO of X company, and a lot of them are solo entrepreneurs or sole proprietors. You're not a CEO of anything yet. You're an entrepreneur. You're just starting your business. And so people are like, well, what do you do? And they can't explain it at all. And so part of the...
But then there might be a reason to ask somebody what they do.
Exactly.
Anything. But in my case, there's so much there. To say, what do you do, just makes it very clear that all you did was randomly select people. So all I'm saying is, JP is asking the question, how would you characterize a quality virtual relationship versus a follow for follow? Well, it starts out with a simple response, a simple personal note. So for me, since I accept a lot of people that I don't necessarily know, I'll write them back a personal note. Now it's on them to follow up on that. But truth be told, most of them don't even read those notes.
That's true.
It's amazing to me, but I got to tell you that how often I get notes back saying you're the first person that ever wrote me a personal reply. Thank you so much. Love to chat sometime. And then the engagement starts. So, as far as a quality virtual relationship starts with a basic conversation. Remember, this isn't Twitter. Twitter, you follow somebody, there's no personal note. That's understood. But then you start engaging with people. Then you start following them, sharing their content. It's like any kind of process. Just like when you meet someone at an event, you don't get to know them all in one quick sitting. You see them, then maybe you sit with them at lunch. Then you see them in the room and you don't know anybody else, so you go and sit next to them. Then after the event, they write you a personal note saying it was nice meeting you, and they like to connect with you on one of these platforms. To me, that's the way it happens.
Absolutely. And that's, I was going to say, and that's important because our good friend, Mr. Brian Fanzo, is known for saying if you suck offline, you're going to suck online. And a lot of people are terrible with going from introduction to relationship. People are great at introducing themselves because people tell you, practice your elevator pitch, know your elevator pitch, but nobody talks to them about, well, how do you begin a friendship? How do you begin a kinship, developing a common bond? And that is a skill that is underutilized because, like you said, it's not about really networking. It's about the strength of the relationship. That is what helps you grow your business or whatever. So just some tips that you would give people, because you wrote that great book last year, how to digitally look people in the eye. Can you talk a little bit about that? How do you digitally look people in the eye?
I want to say something about Brian's comment. I love Brian, and I understand the point he's making. He's talking about people that are arrogant or above people on face-to-face are going to be the same way online. But what I don't want people to think is there's a lot of people that are not good at relationship building face-to-face. They're shy, they're uncomfortable, they don't feel good enough about themselves in a face-to-face situation, but they're fantastic online because they open themselves up, and then they're better in person because we know each other. So when they meet you, they know that I don't have to worry. Ted's not going to blow me off. I'm going to walk up and say, hey, it's Gerald. Remember me? I'm going to go, oh, my God, Gerald, so great to meet you, man. And we're going to hug it out. And that's going to take away that edge of people that are a little bit afraid face-to-face. So I think there's a lot of people that are not good face-to-face. And I don't mean they're dicks. I mean they're just uncomfortable in face-to-face situations who can be really good online because they're able to, and I don't mean like hide in the sense of hiding, but they're able to not have to worry about every word they say and whether they're going to say it right and how it's going to come out because they can take their time and put it out there. So, to your question about, the book is called How to Look People in the Eye Digitally. And what it's about is taking our offline face-to-face skills and bringing them online. So doing things that you would normally do, like, again, why is it called How to Look People in the Eye Digitally? Well, when we were all young, we were taught by our parents. We were taught by our mentors. We were taught by our teachers, by our first jobs. When you're with somebody, look at them when you talk to them. I mean, if it was nothing else, it was your first date. And it was told, make sure you look at her. Because if you're looking at every other girl walking in the room, she's not going to be interested because she's going to know you're not interested in her. And one of the best things you can do, and I've learned this because I was a salesman before I was a marketer. And I like to say that some of the best marketers are former great salespeople because they know how to listen and pay attention to the person talking to them. The look in the eye is a skill. It's letting people know that you're interested. So how do you do that digitally, right? I mean, that's a little bit tougher to do. So you look at their profile. You call them by name. Dale Carnegie likes to say that there's no word in any language that's sweeter to anybody's ear than the sound of their own name. Everybody loves that. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on any platform, and you'll notice that I almost always respond to people by name. I mean, there are times where I'm in a rush. Maybe I miss it or something happens. But almost always, I'll hold up for a second. I'll go back in if I forget and add their name. Because everyone loves to hear that. It makes it very personal. Look at their profiles. There's so much information out there. Like, there's no excuse. I go into sales meetings now to support some sales guys from companies that I advise. And the first words out of the mouth is the guy looks at the guy across the table and says, so how long have you been here? I'm like, seriously? That's right on freaking LinkedIn. How could you not have checked LinkedIn before your meeting? How could you not Google somebody before you meet with them? I mean, these are simple things. So, this is really Dale Carnegie for the digital age. Make it about them. Ask them what's important to them. Find out what's in their world. These are things that salesmen learn in the beginning, but as you know, most of them don't ever learn those skills because all they do is go in and pitch. And we're doing the same thing. We're going in on social, and all we're doing is pitching. We're throwing up pictures of us. We're throwing up things that we're doing. And then even when people jump in, you threw up a great photo, a great event, something really good, and someone comes in and talks about it, and you don't even respond to them. Now, I think people are less on a personal level, are less guilty of this. Companies are awful at this. All they do is post on Facebook. try to get a company to respond to you on Facebook. They've all decided that Twitter is the place for engagement. And on Facebook, all they do is post shit. But I got to tell you, a lot of people do it too. And so many people give you the opportunity to open a conversation with them. So figure out what's important to them. For God's sake, go to their Facebook page. Don't wait for them to come to yours. I mean, the world is putting their lives out there. Imagine this, okay? Every brand marketer in the world wants to get into people's bedrooms, into people's living rooms. They would love to be a fly on the wall and know what's going on. And all they're doing is worrying about these people coming to their pages when all this information is out there for them to go on. So on a personal level, go to people's pages, learn something about them, find out who they are, discuss them. When you find out somebody else knows them, hear what it's about. I mean, look, Gerald, I know Samantha Kelly thinks you're a rock star. I don't know why personally, but she does.
Oh man, Sam.
I love you even more knowing that you were a running back 20 years ago, man. So you played the game.
Yeah, that was me. I love the game, man, and that's why I'm so adamant about team building and your culture and how people are treated, because I've been in that environment. You know, martial arts, business, football, all of that is about, you know, the community and trusting the people around you to be able to do what you need them to do. And it builds a band, a brotherhood, a sisterhood, and all that type of stuff when you are in those environments. And that's why I look at how you build these relationships, how you build real connections. And that's why people will go to bat for you and fight with you, fight for you on your own, on your behalf.
And let me tell you how easy it is. Okay. And one of the reasons it's so easy is because how little so many people do it. It's as easy as thanking people for sharing your content. It's as easy as popping in serendipitously to somebody's blab or onto their Facebook page, or just clicking a like button sometimes. Just puts a smile on somebody's face. I mean, it just doesn't take a lot to do these things. Sharing their content. I have a newsletter, and I've expanded it to 2. So I have a newsletter that goes out Sunday nights with my content. So in there is always something from me. But every Wednesday, I have the same newsletter goes out, but it has somebody else's blog post in it who doesn't even know that I'm going to share it. Just to serendipitously pick a post that I like, that meant something to me, that connected with me, and share it to my audience for them. And I do that with a lot of other content all the time. When you do that for people, when you do for others without expectation of anything directly back in return, you will get it in return. That's return on relationship. It doesn't mean that you have to get something back from the person you do it for. I'm on this show with Gerald. That doesn't mean I expect Gerald to go do something for me. It just means that I'm putting myself out there and people know it. You know, about a couple of years ago, all of a sudden people started offering to do things for me. I had somebody that offered to make some of my blog posts into audio. I had somebody that offered to translate some of my blogs into Spanish. And when I asked them why they were, I said, listen, I don't have a budget for that. And they said, well, we don't want to be paid. I said, well, why are you doing this? They said, because we see you doing stuff for people all the time. Why wouldn't we want to do stuff for you? I mean, it really is a what goes around comes around kind of thing. But in this day and age, it used to be nobody knew that you were doing that stuff. I mean, maybe you did something at PTA. Maybe you helped some lady get on the train. Maybe you paid for the cup of coffee for the cop standing behind you online at Dunkin' Donuts. But now when people reach out to me all the time and say, let's get together, I go, great, this is where I'll be. You know, and I get together with people, they see it, and then they're willing to do it for you. And it's really that simple. And then the word spreads. And that's the beauty of all these platforms, is that your footprint is so much more extensive than it ever could be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is the power, truthfully, of what these platforms and where I'm saying that social relationships have gone. You know, just the ability to connect so quickly and take that and be able to take it offline after, you know, you've met online virtually and had the conversations and gotten to know somebody's, you know, character a little bit. Fred says, don't just look at their profile, look at the followers and connections too. Just as you are judged by the company you keep, you are also judged by the company you tweet. Very important thing there. And I see Gail. Welcome, Miss Gail, and Richard. Hey, Richard, how you doing? And Mr. Thomas Clark came in as well. If you all could, you could tweet this out. Let people know we're still having this conversation. We have my good friend, Mr. Ted Rubin, talking about building true connections and return on relationship and everything else here. If you all have a question for Mr. Ted Rubin, the seat is now open. You can type /Q if you would not like to get in the love seat and come and sit down and talk live. That's fine. We'll read your question and we'll ask Ted. If you would like to, please, you're more than welcome to come join us live and have a conversation. And just talk to Ted Rubin while we have him for the next 20 minutes. It's Sherry McKenzie. Hey, Sherry, how you doing? Yeah, the love seat. I love people, man. You know that, Fred. Everybody else calls it the hot seat. I don't like that word. It's not necessarily
hot. What is the hot seat?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The love seat makes you think about sitting in somebody's house. You sit down.
We're not going to question you. It's going to be your turn. Come on, somebody jump in here.
Yeah, come on. Come and sit down and ask Ted a question. I know my good friend Fred will. I know he'll jump in, or Gail, or anybody else. If you'd like to jump in, yes, she says, I love the love seat. Yes, it is a love seat. So, well, back to it while we're waiting for somebody to call in.
Excuse me.
I know you have a lot of things going on this year, and you're a very, very busy guy. Let's just talk about how do you, because you've been a chief marketing officer for a lot of organizations. We have a lot of entrepreneurs in here. What would your first tip be for them using social media to help expand their reach?
Well, are we talking about a personal reach, or are we talking about the organization's reach?
Organizational reach. Organizational reach.
Well, the first thing I would do is start empowering your employees, no matter the size of your company, for them to be on social channels. I would encourage them to build their influence, to build their social. I would bring in people to help them learn. If you don't have a budget to bring people in, I would find online tools to do it. I would find people that are willing to volunteer. I would get them access to books. Most importantly is I'd let them know that they should take away the fear factor, that your expectation is they will use social platforms. They will better themselves. They will expand their reach, because the bigger the reach of your employees, the bigger your reach of your company. That's the quickest way to expand your reach without a big marketing budget to build social followers for your business. Right there is your employees. I mean, they should all be sharing content about your company. They should be talking about it. They should be sharing photos. And the easiest place to get started, as far as I'm concerned, is Instagram. Easiest place in the world. Because creating content on Instagram is as simple as click, 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 click. You don't even need to, I'm not saying you shouldn't, but you don't even need to add words. You can start out just by publishing photos. It can be public. It can be photos of your office, of your products, of you on meetings, of the team doing things, of the team going on sales meetings. All these things expand the reach, the conversation about your company, the things that are happening, and it also makes your employees start thinking, wow, they want me to better myself while I'm here. They're not worried about whether I'll get a better job or they'll do something. They want me to be better while I'm here. There's an old slide that I put in some presentations that a lot of you may have seen. It says, CFO says to CEO, what if we train them and they leave? And CEO says to CFO, what if we don't and they stay?
Wow, that's a big deal.
So what I see is a lot of fear of companies that say, we don't want people on social for a number of reasons. We're afraid of what they're going to say. Well, guess what? They're going to say it anyway, and you're not going to control that. And then another one is, well, it's a time suck. Well, truthfully, if it's used properly, first of all, employees that want to suck time will suck time. Okay? I'm 58 years old. I had my first job at a brokerage firm in 1980, and believe me, when I wanted to waste time, I had no problem finding things to do to waste time. Okay? So by saying that we don't want our employees in social because then they won't do work, well, if they don't want to do work, they're not going to do work anyway. If you empower people to do their job, to do it right, reward them for doing it well, then they're going to do the job. Okay? And then the other thing is start encouraging them by helping them find content to share. Show them good things. Give them content about your company, informational things that they should feel comfortable sharing that is good for your company, that they know is quality content that they can start sharing to their followers. And then beyond that, don't just give them content about your company. Help them find content that's relevant to them and their followers, about travel, about education for them and their children, about health services, all the kinds of things that make them build an audience that wants to listen to them. Because then when they share something relevant about your company, your business, people will take notice.
That is great business sage words to live by, because a lot of people try to move their people from social media. Oh, you got to be careful. It can really do X, Y, and Z. But like you said, these young adults are going to be on social media. You can't stop them from being on social media. So the thing, if you train them and advocate for them to do it, they will be an advocate for you.
And by the way, they all have one of these. I mean,
yes.
So you're not on it on your computer or on your laptop. You're on it here, and guess what? If you're afraid of doing it in your office, do you know that there's more cigarette breaks in this country in the last few years than there were 4 years ago? Do you actually think more people are smoking? Of course not. But they're just taking the same opportunity to go out and get on their devices. I mean, don't make it so they're set up to fail. Don't make it so they're set up to go against your policies. Make policies that work for your company. Hey, Fred, what's going on, man?
Fred? Ted, nice to see you again. I follow your stuff rather than social media, in fact. I agree with, pretty much everything that's said here. I have a relatively little company, all pretty senior guys. The list got to be on social media. And yeah, there's that, sometimes that little bit of intransigence that comes in. And I said, listen, you can do whatever you want on social media. You're all senior communicators. So I'm not going to tell you how to suck eggs, but there are certain rules here. If you're going to be tweeting stuff about the company, here's our influence objectives. Here's some constraints, things if you're going to tweet about the company that maybe you should be tweeting about. And here's some restraints. Keep your politics to yourself. Keep the fluffy cat pictures to yourself, those things. But, when you're traveling around the world, and if you're in Dubai or Washington or whatever, take pictures, show people what it's like on the road, show, things that emphasize our company's values and stuff like that. And once they get into it, they get into it full force.
And then there's the other side, that there's so much valuable information there. How can you keep them away from these platforms? This is where they can get all the market intelligence in the world. I hear of people doing studies. What's the study? It's all here. You hire a company to do a study, you get the information 6 months from now, it's not even valuable anymore. I mean, it's all out there for you now. And that, what I say is train them to use it right rather than telling them they can't use it.
Well, all my guys are vets. So I used to tell them social media is like combat net radio.
Okay.
Everybody on listening to what you're saying on combat net radio. So is the opposition.
Exactly.
So just be judicious about how you use it.
It's like talking on an elevator.
Absolutely. Yes. All right. We have a question from my sunshine, Miss Gail Turner Brown. She says, how do you become more proficient?
I just dropped in to say hi because I gotta take off. I'm sorry.
That's right.
I just wanted to say hi.
Thanks for popping in.
I've been out an awful lot, so I haven't seen you lately. Yeah. So the road again. So take care.
Always good. Always good to see you, Fred. My good friend Fred Oban. I call him the bishop because he calls me the reverend. It's a little joke we have.
Okay.
Gail asked, how do you become more proficient while staying productive and effective?
That's a little bit of a confusing question for me, but
that's a little confusing for me too. She'll explain it further.
While staying productive, you don't waste all your time in one place. You see if you're getting responses back. You try different things. You don't just stay with one method. You set aside time for it. I mean, if you have a job that requires you to be totally focused for a certain amount of hours, then find hours when you don't have to be focused that way, where you can play with social or do other things. I mean, I'll tell you right now that there's also a lot of people that you can reach during off hours. I mean, some of the best connections are made after 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. I mean, for instance, if you want to connect with the blogger, with the mom blogger community or with moms, get online after 10 or 11 o'clock, after their kids are asleep. They come on around 7, 8 o'clock right after dinner, and they touch base a little bit, but then they come on in full blast later at night. So as far as, being productive, look, it's like anything else you do. You got to figure out what's important in your day, what you need to get done, and then find time to do other things based around that. Like if you want to work out, You don't get up in the middle of the afternoon, skip out on 2 important meetings and go to the gym. You get up early and go to the gym, or you go to the gym late at night. I mean, it's like anything else. You build it into what you're doing, and the beauty of it is, again, it's all available on this. So you can do it on the train going home. You can do it in between meetings. You can do it when you're in a taxi going downtown for a sales meeting. I mean, I jump online all the time in between, because when I'm in meetings, this thing gets put aside, and I'm not paying attention because I'm paying attention to the people I'm with. You know, again, when I'm in a meeting, that doesn't mean if I'm at the bar afterwards with all the people I went to the meeting that I'm not looking at my phone, because that's when I'm catching up. And they're looking at me going, oh, like my ex-business partner, John, likes to say, Mr. Not Social in social media. Because after our business meeting, I'm trying to do what I need to get done. So there you have it. Hey, Vicki, what's going on?
Hey, Ted, how are you? It's good to see you. What's that?
Hey, Vicki.
I love your necklace.
Thank you so much. That's
Vicki always comes on just looking fabulous all the time, and then she wears this smile that like melts everybody's heart. So you know, it's just awesome. So greetings, Vicki. Fitch, how are you?
I'm fine, love. How are you?
I am Mag Fantabulous. If I was any better, they might lock me up. So
well, let's keep you out of lockup. Let's keep you out of lockup, my friend.
Okay, awesome. So go ahead, Vicki. I know you have something to add here. Always good to see you.
So Vicki, how was the summit?
It was actually really good, Ted, but we were really bummed you weren't there. It was a bummer that you weren't there.
Yeah, me too.
There was a lot of really good stuff.
Ryan and I talked a bit at CES, and we're going to try to figure out how to make it happen next time.
Okay, good. There was a lot of really good content. You know, catching up with Joel Comm and stuff was always fun, and you know, delivering great information. So it was. I thought it was really good. I'm looking forward to the next one, and of course, meeting all my Aussie friends was a kick. You know, those guys are all fun. Right. So, but I loved what you said, first of all, about, because it's so true, about late night stuff. And as a matter of fact, at Summit, people were laughing at me because everybody went out, and then I'm at, it's midnight, and I'm on the treadmill doing a treadmill scope because I'm done networking for the day, right? I'm done because I didn't have time to do the exercise later. So then that's when I started connecting, and it's true. That's when we end up getting things. So the social economy has changed when people are on and what they're doing. And I think what you said was brilliant I never really thought about the coffee break thing. And you're right. They're going out to get connected on their phone. But right. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, finish.
No, go ahead. Because
I love what the way you jumped in about, like, you were working out at midnight or jumping and getting things done. You know, there's a fitness blogger that wrote a book that I quote a lot, and a hashtag I use, WYC, and it's what you can when you can. Now, she wrote it mostly around fitness. And here's a woman who's a fitness blogger who's worked with a lot of people, and a lot of the feedback she was getting over the last bunch of years was, well, this is what you do. You know, this is what you do for a living. And we get that about social. Well, it's what you do for a living. And I don't have time to work out the way you do. And the point of her book, which is fabulous, is that it's not about doing it all the time. It's about doing it when you can. I mean, and then you'll see me use the hashtag sometimes. I'm pumping gas. I'm doing squats. I'm doing toes. You know, again, or I'm on my phone sending out some tweets because I'm out of the car and I'm pumping gas. It's a life kind of idea. It's like no let up, where you guys know about no let up and my no let up things, and with my no let up idea about life and how there's no let up. But it feeds into what you can when you can, that you get it done when you can. And it doesn't mean you're on a regular schedule. It's just like anything else, as Gail said, it's like anything else you want to learn. You want to learn something new, you don't quit your job and learn something new. Right. You learn something new and then you segue into it. Or if you want to learn a language, you don't just say, you know what, Vicki, I know that I was your executive assistant, but I decided I want to learn German, so I'm quitting. No, you do it in your spare time, and all of this stuff could be done that way. And again, it's a whole different world. It didn't used to be that way. It used to be that you couldn't just learn things when you wanted. You couldn't just pick up a phone and start connecting with people. But now it's 24/7. There's no excuse to not be building relationships and not be connecting with people.
Well, and especially when we have a format like Blab here and people like Gerald who put on such great shows, is that, there's an opportunity. No matter, right now it's 6 o'clock here in California, 9 o'clock on the East Coast. It's whatever it is. I guess it's like 1 p.m. or 1 p.m. in Australia and Sydney, 1 p.m. tomorrow. But but still, we have that opportunity to kind of connect with people. And like you said, when you have time, jump on, you'll find a new set of people. So which is kind of leads me to my question. I wanted to ask you how you felt about the social media platforms, like the live streaming platforms like Blab and Periscope and Meebee, Meerkat. I just wanted to kind of get, and if you answered before I got here, I apologize. I just wanted to see what your opinion was.
I did, but I'm going to answer again.
I'm sorry. I'll listen to the replay, Ted. I'm so sorry.
Gerald and I had a nice conversation about that. I love these platforms because it enables this. It enables the face-to-face. It enables that connection. It's one of the reasons I love. I consider Snapchat part of that group as well, because Snapchat is a place where it's not live streaming, at least isn't right now. I actually hope it won't be, because I like kind of the position it holds. But what it allows you to do is have very quick conversations, share video clips, talk to people in a face-to-face manner, and get to know them a lot quicker. And what I love about Blab, and this is another thing I mentioned earlier, but I'll mention it again because there are other people that weren't on earlier, is that, my buddy John Andrews at one point said to me, this Blab thing, it just seems like all the same people talking to each other, because there aren't that many users yet. I said, yeah, but first of all, anybody can come onto it that you want to invite onto it. Second of all, you can take this content and bring it anywhere else after the fact. So it's creating great video content you can put someplace else. And the people you do get to connect with, you really build a relationship with. You feel like you've gotten to know them. And so I love them. I also, Gerald was saying that he's found a home on Blab, that Periscope doesn't really work for him. I like them all because they suit different needs. I love Blab because we can have these kinds of conversations. I love Periscope because, first of all, it's made, what I call it is it's made video social. Video was the part of social media. It wasn't really social media. It was just video. Right. Okay, now all of a sudden it's engageable. But also what it allows me to do is to have a conversation, even if it's somewhat with myself. I'm walking down the beach and I have a thought. I think about something Gerald said to me or something Vicky said, or like I might wake up tomorrow morning and think about what Vicky brought up about live streaming platforms and just go into Periscope and just have a chat about it. And either I can interact and engage with the people, or I can say, hey, I'm walking outside. I don't have my reading glasses on. I'm really just going to rant for a little while. And I want you guys to kind of share what I'm saying and engage with it and tell me what you're thinking. And especially with the connection with Twitter, the conversation can go on in other places. So, I'm a big fan. I love it. And back to something Gerald and I covered earlier also, that this was happenstance, is he said he's found a home on Blab. And I thought that was a really good point, is that most of us don't have time for all these different platforms. I mean, you just don't. So you have to find the place you're most comfortable. I mean, a great point Gary Vaynerchuk made the other day is he's spending less time on Twitter now and more time on Snapchat. Now, that doesn't mean that he might not reverse it and go back to more time on Twitter at some point, but it means right now he's finding that value for himself and his audience on Snapchat. He's also experimenting with it. And it's what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure out ways to make it work for me. And I want to make this point now, because now my head's like a Twitter feed. It goes in a lot of different directions. But a lot of people hear why you should be on Periscope, why you should be on Blab, why you should be on Snapchat, how you should be using them. My feeling is figure out the best way to use it for you. Mm-hmm. I know Brian Fanzo made this point the other day about me, is that I go to Brian because I am terrible with technology, like figuring things out, what buttons to press, how to use it. So Brian is great with that. So Brian will walk me through Snapchat, Periscope, whatever, and then I go and figure out how to best use it for my brand. Mm-hmm. What's best for me? How does it best for me to start engaging? Like, for a long time, I felt like on Periscope, I needed to have a topic that was really important to me. Now I'm deciding to start getting on it more just with things that are coming to my mind, just to have conversations. And I just want to try it out in all different ways. I Periscope when I'm at Brand Innovators events with speakers who I think are valuable that other people might want to share. There's so many different ways to use it that, that's what I love about it. It's allowing so many of us to come up with ideas of what works best for us and for our communities.
Absolutely. There was a question here that I don't want to overlook, but my brother's been asking for a while. He says, how do you meet the right people you are looking for on Blab, and how do you trust people? Now, I believe that's kind of a subjective question, because what makes me trust and what makes Ted trust and what makes Vicky trust may be different for each person involved. And the right people is also subjective. But I'll turn that over to Ted, because I think it's for you, Ted, and see what Vicky thinks as well. What you both think about that.
I won't claim to be an expert on the Blab platform, but it's like any other platform. You go in, you find people, you listen to what they have to say, if you like the way they say it and how they look at you and how they hold themselves. And then again, like I said earlier, these days, go research them on just Google them. Go to LinkedIn, see who they are, what jobs have they held. As I forgot exactly who said it earlier, but who follows them? Who shares their content? I mean, to me, it's like anything else. It's like someone reaches out to me on LinkedIn. I go to their LinkedIn page. I see who they are, what jobs they have. I meet somebody at an event. I take their card and I go somewhere else and I go see who they are and what they do. So I think it's like in any other way. You get a feel for somebody, you research them. There's so many more tools to do that with today that makes it easy to do that I just don't think that should be a problem. Vicky, maybe you have some input there?
Well, I'm thinking where he's going with it, because there's so many people I'm sure you've experienced it yourself, Ted, that people are, I guess he made you a co-host because he had to jump out or something. I don't know where you went, Gerald, but, he has to refresh. Okay. So we could kick him out. No, I'm just kidding. I love Gerald. I would never do that. You know I was playing, Gerald.
I know.
Anyway, I think where they're going with it, that there's a lot of people popping up on live streaming that maybe are very charismatic and have the ability to kind of coerce people into doing things that aren't really valuable or really leading them in the right direction. And so I think when what I took from the question was, who do I really trust? And yeah, we can get the information, Google them and check that out to make sure they're really legit. And, if they don't have any Google presence, that's a little nerve-wracking right there. But also, who have they worked with? I was really honored when, Gerald gave me a nice welcome into a nice welcome about who I am and a couple other people. So you can start to see other people that you trust on a platform and find out who's using their services, who's utilized them, and kind of going, that know, like, and trust factor is a really critical piece if you're actually, I think, wanting to, part with your money. And that's, I think that's where he was at, but I'm not sure.
No, he did comment on here that he liked the answer. So I think he kind of got what he came for. But, really good points, Vicky. And look, it's like anything else. I was at a CMO event a few years ago where I was asked to answer questions that came from some of the speakers and people. And, one of the most basic ones was, how do we know, like, we're getting calls from so many people that are social media experts. Well, the first thing is when someone calls themselves a social media expert, be careful right there. But the other thing is that look at what they're doing. One of the first things I look at is when someone tells me, when I see someone teaching people how to use Instagram or teaching people how to use Twitter, and they're not on those platforms themselves, I don't get that. So to me, just like I don't want someone teaching me that doesn't have the bona fides to do it themselves. So, again, I don't want a guy either that's never played golf or that hasn't taught some really good golfers to teach me to play golf. Why wouldn't I take the same thing in any other area of expertise? So, a perfect example is like whether it's you or Brian Fanzo or any of the other people that are on live streaming platforms, it's a new platform. If any of them call themselves experts, I'd run for the hills. But the smart ones just say, see what I've done. And if this is something that can guide you, then I'd be happy to show you what I've done and how I've done it.
And that's something I talk about all the time. I've done a blab about that. The word expert to me is almost like saying master, and there are very few masters. Yeah, I know, Vicky. I know. It's just for me. I believe we have specialties that, just like doctors, lawyers, all these huge organizational occupations. You don't hear a doctor say they're the expert at something. They're a specialist. They specialize in chiropractics. They specialize in podiatry. They specialize in X. You can have years of experience, and some of the people, which I have to qualify this, because Vicky is a phenomenal direct salesperson. Vicky has the credibility to back up what she's talking about. But some people think that your experience makes you an expert. That's not true. Just because you've had a lot of years, you could be really bad at something for a lot of years too.
By the way, Vicky, if you have expert in your title, I had no idea. So, nothing personal intended. You know where I was going with that. So, the whole, whatever line. But listen, guys, I really enjoyed this.
Okay.
As you know, and Vicky, you came on late. I'm sick, and I flew today, and I got to fly again Thursday. I got to get some rest. For me to say I'm going to bed early, that's a big deal. So Vicky, thanks for joining us. Everybody that came in here, thanks so much for being a part of this. Gerald, man, brother.
You know how I feel, brother. I appreciate you so much, Ted. Thank you for showing up.
And just for everybody here, my email address is tedrubin@gmail.com. My phone number is 516-270-5511. I'm at Ted Rubin on Twitter. Reach out anytime. Vicky, I hope we get to connect sometime soon.
All right. Awesome, Ted. Get better, brother. That was Mr. Ted Rubin. I want to thank him for showing up. And now we are going to continue with this conversation. And we have the wonderful Team Red still here, though. The beautiful Miss Vicky Fitch. That's right. Go ahead. Put it up. And we will continue, but I will end this recording just so we can go into Afterblast. Oh, yes. Please turn back on your microphone.
Am I still muted? Am I muted?
Now, there you go. Now you're back. There's the voice.
Okay.
And,
sorry.
I just want to wrap this up. On Wednesday, we will be back for another edition of Great O'Clock. If you would like to find Miss Vicky Fitch in the space we like to call cyber, can you please tell them how to find the wonderful Miss Vicky Fitch?
Oh, of course. So you guys can go to vickyfitch.com and visit me there. And of course, I'm here on Blab at, blab.im/Vicky_Fitch. Twitter is at Vicky_Fitch. So yeah, guys, please totally connect with me. And as you guys know, tonight, later on, he said Red Zed is on. So you can find me in the Blabosphere tonight at 6:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern.
All right. Awesome. And if you would like to find me, the shy guy with a big mouth, in the space we like to call cyber, you can find me at Gerald D NWO. That's Gerald, the letter D, and then NWO on Twitter. You can also find me anywhere else at thenewwealthorder.com. That is my company. That is my organization. That is what we do. And we will be back on Wednesday evening for another edition of Great O'Clock. Look forward to seeing you all then.